vampirizing. And again, generally, whether that's your piece or not, to share this information, this is why I'm giving it, because I feel that it's necessary in terms of this tipping point that we're at with our consciousness and moving into communities, groups, and sustainability, that this is actually very key in actually the success of those particular communities being sustainable. So the starseed being is, again, working mostly with its soul matrix. So again, to understand that most third-dimensional humans, some of them are actually completely detached from their spiritual bodies. How does that happen? It happens when they are absolutely unaware that they are a part of that. It's kind of like use it or lose it. Now, what is, from the guardian perspective, what has been going on? Why are the indigos here? Why is there intervention happening with other races that are so interested in human development and consciousness at this time? And again, I can only share from my own experience of this truth is that the consciousness has been in a dark cycle for the last 26,000 years. So what is happening through the convergence, when we talk about the Mayan calendar, there are cycles upon cycles of which consciousness comes to participate in an evolution. The last 26,000 years has been a process of evolution and is what the Mayan calendar is talking about. That 26,000 year period ends in 2011 or 2012, depending on which thing you're reading. If it's the Carl Kalaman, I think, has his own calendar, but in deciphering the Mayan calendar, the traditional word is 2012. It's all happening. It's actually happening right now. However, the understanding of these cycles and what these cycles are the movement of consciousness through time-space matrix in the illusion of time. So again, even though time-space is an illusion outside of a dimensionalized system, outside of time, it's relative to us. And this is the confusion paradox about if there is no time, what does it matter what we're doing? Actually, there are windows of opportunity, and that's what's happening right now. There are Stargate portals that are aligning and opening to other dimensional access, other universes that have not been opened here in upward areas. They tell me like 250,000 years according to our time, but I think maybe it's not relevant because we can't even fathom the time-space matrix in the differences of time. But there are certain opportunities that are happening at this point that are able to not only increase quantum growth of consciousness, but it's about resurrecting the anti-life force that has enslaved the consciousness for eons of time down here. There has been consciousness here that has recycled itself over and over and over again into pain, into suffering, into karma, into miasms. Miasms are ancestral, genetic, cellular records. So your family of origin stuff, like say, 7 generations back, somebody had syphilis or somebody had disease, it usually skips generations and it will come further down the line and manifest as something else, less dissipated. But it's important to understand that miasms, the source of all disease, is behavioral imbalance and emotional imbalance. The second we are out of harmony with our God source, we start creating aberrant energy. And the aberrant energy then starts breaking down our genetics. And this is what we're seeing. This is why we see disease. This is why we see the imbalance on this planet, is we have been living out of harmony with ourselves, with God, however you want to look at it. They're the universal laws of creation in terms of the oneness, of understanding we are all interconnected. Everything each one of us does, whether we say, we have a thought or emotion and action, impacts the larger whole. And this is, again, something we've not understood our responsibility for as beings during this particular time cycle. And again, there is a perpetration and agenda to control that understanding. And this is why there has been an intervention. This, from the guardian perspective, again, feel what is in alignment to your own truth. This particular timeline, because of how dense it is, has been recycling souls for a very long time, and over this period of time it's created genetic damage and genetic breakdown of the integrity of the soul matrix, meaning that if the being keeps doing the same pattern, it will do nothing but destroy itself. Because once you are disconnected from your source, you can do nothing but digress. You will just keep fragmenting until there's nothing left. So from the guardian perspective, it's like, well, we all return to God's source at the end of the cycle, when we talk about the great in-breath and out-breath of God, God did the out-breath, us, through all the fragmentation of the dimensions. We went and we learned and we created and we spread ourselves out in millions and trillions of directions. Now is the time to gather and come back. That's the God in-breath cycle that's happening. So we can return as space dust units, like mineralized forms, or we can return as God consciousness. And that is the guardian perspective in terms of, well, if we're all returning back, does it matter? Well, it would be a shame for the human being to return as space dust. I think they have a point. I was like, wow, because that's the whole thing about the genetic integrity of the consciousness and what it was created to be and do. They're basically saying, listen, the potential of the human is just, it's beyond anything you can realize. Imagine activating that DNA potential and being God consciousness while being able to experience form in some matter. It would not be form like this, but certainly it would be retaining. I think it's very hard to describe what that consciousness could even be like, because quite frankly at this level we have no idea what that is. But the bottom line is that the indigo being, the star beings that have come here are bringing their genetic material, are bringing their cellular memory, are bringing their frequency and light code to assist in this process, because it's all about critical mass and all about coming back, which I rambled on a lot, the law of harmonics. So I want to talk about the law of harmonics for a minute. So in understanding that third dimensional beings are vibrating and transducing frequency spectrums and intelligence is here. The first three levels are the personality program, and they are comprised of anti-life force. When we start, and these are also relating to chakras, so that makes it easier for you. Now, once we start coming past here, and this is a good way to look at this is the crucifixion of Christ, because we have that symbol everywhere. So when you see actually what the controllers have done, is when we look and we see what Christianity has created as a symbol of the Christ resurrection, you see a man in pain wounded on a cross, right? And he's dead. Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so inspired by that. But anyway, what we focus on is what we create. But we don't know this, right? So we've got millions of human beings on this planet worshiping a man dead on the cross, bleeding. What they're doing is they're energizing their own death and enslavement and crucifixion without even knowing that's what they're doing. Now, what the cross is, the symbol and the sickness of what this is that the cross in the center is the separation of polarity between our masculine and feminine. So when we see the cross coming down here, this is an implant given to the human, in the human light body, so the light body can't merge and be free in its sacred marriage. So to understand this side of us is electric and is the masculine principle. This side is magnetic, and it is the female principle. We have a huge split in the center of us, and this is what gives our body and our consciousness the appearance of duality, polarity, and binary thinking. If you look at a third dimensional person, the third 3D structure is either or, black, white, yes, no, which is it, right? The third dimensional brain is binary, it's either or it's or, and that's because of our experience in our body. We are split in two. We're not merged. Now, the merging of our light body is the inner marriage that gives us the freedom and therefore the ascension, and we are freed from the bonds of the anti-life force. So what the crucifixion is really a symbology of implantation and destruction to the genetic integrity of the human being's light body. Now, this can be healed, but of course you can see it's been perpetrated so that it won't. In fact, it's been perpetrated so that we'll increase it even more. So this center cross is about the separation of the masculine feminine from its own sacred union. And then the other part is we have a membrane that has cut us off from our third chakra to our fourth. So it makes it really hard to move Kundalini and to activate our light body into the higher centers, because we have something cutting us off right here. So that's when you see the cross, that's what it means. We are impaled at the light body level. Now, many starseeds and other beings that have done the light body work and have been consciously working, because of genetic advantage, that largely has been cleared, but the rest of the third dimensional beings don't have that luxury. because they haven't done that particular level of work. In a sense, the issue is we can create anything in the power of our Godness, but if we don't know we're God, we don't know what to ask for, how to heal ourselves, or we can't see all of the manipulation that has happened to the human being that has been used to truly suppress the human being. So again, that crucifixion and cross is a split here. So most human beings, this is why right now, if you look at what's happening, most humans are being dismantled out of the third dimensional identity program, and they're coming into their heart. And that is one of the hardest initiations that you have when you build your spiritual body, and that's what we're seeing in the collective right now. A humongous wave of human beings are being initiated into their heart, but they don't know that's what's going on. That means that everything in the anti-life force that was keeping their identity structure in 3D is now going to be dismantled and taken out of their particular experience. So in a sense, it's a beautiful thing of what's happening, but I think, are we...
You got 2 minutes.
I got 2 minutes? Oh. So, thank you. But just to kind of see, this is why the knowledge of spiritual initiation and moving through the fields of your light body is very helpful. Because when you're in that process of your own growth and you're aware of what your body is doing, you can really relax through the process. Because I think we get into the illusion, we think things, did I make a wrong turn? Why is this happening to me? Everything is there for a reason, and when you understand how we go through spiritual initiation, you can relax through the process. I wish we could tell the masses this now, but it would be very hard for them to understand at this level. So most indigos and starseeds came in to their physical body holding multidimensional consciousness with either fourth, fifth, or sixth dimensional strands of DNA that were pre-wired or somewhat active. Most of the consciousness here is not, so that means they're working with 2 or so DNA strands. Our job as consciousness was to come in here and have activated strands. Through that activation, we would start allowing others to activate their DNA. Now this is where the law of harmonics comes in. So if a being who's vibrating at a particular frequency, and that means that they're bringing in energies through these centers, they're feeling these energies, they're working them through. You may not be conscious of it, but you are. That's what a multidimensional being is you're working with other centers. These centers start activating when you're in the presence of someone who is not vibrating at the same level you are. And again, no value difference, has nothing to do with value. It has all to do with what your role is, what you're doing here. The consciousness expansion role, and why you're an energetic leader by default because of this. Is that when you are vibrating at these higher dimensional spectrums, the person, the being, as a consciousness will be attracted to you, will be in your field. Now their being will start to vibrate at that level. Now in the process of this, what will happen is they may get very angry with you. Or they will be so glued to you because they'll just be like, oh, you feel so good when I'm with you. I feel so healed. I just feel at peace. They really like to be in your company. And again, it doesn't matter. It could be a pet, a man, a woman. It doesn't matter. It's anything and everything will just feel healed in your presence because you're vibrating at this higher rate. Now, what's important to understand about the law of harmonics is that when this happens, when you are with another being, in a sense now, this is your energetic responsibility because the being doesn't know why he's there. Now again, it's not about, this is a discernment issue because sometimes you'll get caught into emotional dramas because what happens when someone's being activated is they may get hostile, they may get angry, and they may fabricate some things that seem very confusing to you. This is because they are projecting their demons. So this comes, the responsibility is, look, this is not to take away any accountability. We all are responsible in creating our reality. We have to understand our intention. This is why we're talking about energetic integrity and congruency and being sustained within. When somebody comes to you and you are activating them, and you will, period, because you are the agents of transformation. This means any person that is in your immediate field, and especially if they sleep in your bed or they're in your house, forget it. They're going to be activated big time. So be prepared for this. In the law of harmonics, the natural part of your light body is going to raise the frequency of that being. And that means any dark, sticky, gooey stuff, any fears that are in there, any demons attached, attached are going to be coming out, and you might even be seeing a couple of them too, looking at you. So when this happens, it's important to have no fear, to understand exactly what is going on here.